Take a minute to consider these images. How did they make you feel? Did you find yourself relating to them? In this picture behind me, you can see a small square inside of a larger rectangle. I would like you to think of the small square as representing the living space for one person 100 years ago. The larger rectangle is what we have today. Obviously, we are not claiming that someone 100 years ago spent his or her life inside of a 1x1 square. But it represents a visual ratio to get your mind wrapped around the incredible changes in lifestyle that have occurred throughout the years. In fact, did you realize that humans have increased their living space by about 8 times over the last 100 years?
Our forefathers, including some Canadian First Nations groups, lived their lives in proportionately smaller homes and yet were often part of much larger families. Within this space, each person had about 50 to 90 square feet each. Today, the average Canadian family is about 4 people large, and yet each of these 4 people are allotted approximately 400 square feet each. The tiny house movement is a revisiting of more traditional, smaller living spaces. A challenging idea, but not a new one. Within the modern society, our status and successes are often equated to the size of our homes. But some of the people that have already embraced this lifestyle will be the first ones to tell you that they are very proud and happy with their decision. On the screen, you can see some of the wonderful innovations that are pioneering the tiny house movement.
Many times, we look for excuses or are faced with situations that prevent us from doing what we believe are healthy for our environment and ourselves. Both Kara and I have experienced firsthand some of the limitations that currently face people in North America trying to build small. This past year, my husband and I were looking into designing and building, yes, believe it or not, a yurt for our future home. But in fact, we were unable to get a mortgage from any bank to buy bare property.
On the other hand, my husband and I found our dream piece of land and were actually in a position that we could buy it. But we were filled with self-doubt when we were judged by absolutely everybody we talked to along the way that told us that our dream house was too small and they were making a huge mistake. Yet, for Emily and I, there's a deep understanding of the wonderful impact that the movement away from larger homes can have. We perceive our future actions as new homebuyers to be incredibly powerful motivators of change.
In today's world, it becomes habit to compare ourselves to our neighbors and to society's expectations. But really, at what cost? Do we end up living less healthy lifestyles? Do we buy things we don't need and clutter our living spaces? Does our environment suffer as well? We feel that the consequences add up and become extremely overwhelming. A lot of these consequences cause our beautiful planet to suffer. Did you know that 40% of the raw materials we use from our planet are actually used in the construction of new buildings? But imagine if we started building smaller. We inevitably would use fewer products.
The tiny house movement opens us up to so many new and exciting possibilities. For some, the smaller living arrangement might mean more time spent with families, which can help build stronger and healthier support systems. It may also mean a way in which we can reduce the cost and the work involved in owning a home. For others, we may opt to spend more time outside of our homes, bettering our health, reconnecting ourselves with the natural world, building stronger ties to our communities. Interestingly, some people have taken to this lifestyle have actually chosen to build their homes without showers or running water, and this forces them to interact with other people on a daily basis just to acquire these resources.
I would think so. We hope that the next generation of homebuyers will experience a powerful change in mindset that will help to foster a positive outlook on the effects of their actions. If we can start seeing smaller living as a lifestyle and a positive change that one would consciously choose, instead of as a judgment or, say, a step down in society, then we are more likely to make the change. It is time to discover the simple happiness of smaller living. And maybe we will all feel a little bit like I did here.